Hey everyone, James from TDB here, bringing you another Inbetweenisode. Today I am continuing actually with another episode of a Xiaguan yearbook pick from this era of 2003 to 2004. So another tea you can find in those sort of yearbooks from that earlier era. This is a Xiaguan mini cake 14456. It might sound familiar to you because I brought this on with Denny. And this is one of those teas that I felt it left a little bit on the table, and I think perhaps my brewing was not quite that good. One thing I noted in pulling apart the last little bit of the sample is that this is just a very compressed tea, and teas that are very compressed, especially when you haven't been brewing them regularly, can definitely be a little bit of a challenge to brew. You definitely want to be breaking up a lot of the material. You absolutely do not want to brew just one big chunk because the flavor is going to be released in a way that's even more difficult to brew. So I made sure to break this up pretty good. I did have kind of that one chunk, that 6.1 grams, and so I just broke up that chunk into probably 10 to 12 smaller pieces. Of course, you're going to have leaf breakage when something like that, but this is factory tea. It is par for the course, and far better to get a good brew than keep the leaves whole. And so this is one of those teas that we brought it onto an episode, and it was fine. It was decent, but I felt like it wasn't quite, I felt like there's something more, considering the tea's reputation. So today we're going to hopefully find out, or maybe I'll misbrew again. I don't know. Anyways, I got this tea from the Jade leaf from Emilio, so thank you, Emilio. It's one of the Pu'erhs they smell there. Smelling the leaves here really reminded me a lot of the storage that is on my 8653 Fei Tai 3+1. That storage just has a very distinct kind of like upper register, but also like definitely aged notes to it. So yeah, I've steep number 2 here. It's brewing a darker color than I think it ever brewed with Denny, and I think that's good because I felt like it came off a little weak when I had it with him. Anyways, cheers. You know, I definitely get a little bit more sourness and earthiness, and maybe like a little bit more, I don't know, almost dirt to this. So it is providing more, but I do feel like there is something missing kind of in the middle of this tea. This is a tea where I've had the 2006 version. I had a mini cake of that, and I drank that. I think I drank the whole thing at some point, and it was a fine tea, but not one that was really worth buying for me. But the 2003 has a particularly good reputation, so wanted to try this out too. And yeah, let's take a smell of this. We're in a nice dark color here. So honestly, if we're not getting much flavor from this, then perhaps this is a little bit of a dud, but we will see. So yeah, the aroma has changed quite a bit. So one thing that's pretty obvious is that this tea is changing a fair bit more than the 8653 or the color series that I had from Tim of the quality stamp Hongyan and the grade A and grade B plume marks. So I am pushing this probably against my better judgment here, but let's see how it is. Because right now, the reason I'm pushing it so much is because I feel like I'm not getting something perhaps in the body with the tea. For instance, the Hongyan that I brewed in that series just has kind of like this body of substance and stuff like that. It feels like you're really sipping something substantial. And this one, I guess the word is probably just thin. It feels thinner. It's a bit better. It's a bit better for sure. Getting into those pine resin notes, definitely reminds me of some Taiwanese storage Xiaguan, which I assume this is what it is. It has like all of the characteristics, but something is just kind of missing from it. Yeah, so getting kind of that smokiness or that retired smokiness, so kind of that barbecue classic. The body is definitely better. It's definitely a little bit better. I'm also being hit with a fair amount of bitterness in kind of this brew as well. It's worth noting that I am using a higher amount of leaf because I had a higher amount of leaf in the sample of this than the remainders of the samples from Tim. So we're going to do another one. Usually I don't do this many steeps on camera, but I am trying to figure this tea out. May have overbrewed that last one a little bit, so I'm going to hang back just a touch here on steep number 4. So good texture and resin. To pay attention to the aftertaste. Definitely probably a bit overbrewed on that steep number 3, but it's the only steep that I've had so far that really gives me substantial body to it. And even then, I don't think it's quite as thick as most of the teas I had in the other series. Yeah, a bit sour too. Definitely not a brew you want to let cool down much, otherwise that extra sourness and bitterness is going to be even more emphasized. Interesting aroma. The aroma is one of the more interesting parts of this, in the sense that it has just changed a fair amount there. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to say this tea is just okay. It's not bad. It just doesn't quite live up to my expectations of that early 2000s Xiaguan raw pu'erh, which is a category of tea that, as you saw from the teas from Tim, I quite enjoy. So I think this tea is just a bit worse than those, and perhaps it is suffering in contrast to those as well. So I'm going to give this tea, it's perfectly drinkable. I mean, it's probably better than the Jade's, but for me, it's coming in kind of around that level. So I guess that'd be something like a 5.7. So a fair bit worse than those other ones. But I'm curious if other people have had this version or the 2006. This, oddly enough, is coming off as thinner than the 2006 from my memory. So perhaps just a couple bad sessions or kind of a odd cake that I got a sample from. Who knows? But not necessarily loving this tea. It's fine. It's perfectly functional, but I think for something that gets into the price range of these early Xiaguans at that range, probably not quite worth it in my estimation. Okay, well, thank you, Emilio, for the sample regardless. Definitely an interesting and fun one to try. Probably not one I would recommend wholeheartedly, but, you know, it's interesting nonetheless. And what did I say I was giving it? 5.8? Okay, well, we'll go with that. And curious if anyone else has tried it, please do comment, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.